What if the biggest relationship twist in All American Season 8 isn't a dramatic breakup or a shocking betrayal? What if it's something much quieter? What if Khalil is slowly losing Amina, not because he stopped caring about her, but because someone else is becoming the person she naturally turns to? Now, before we dive in, this is just a theory based on the first few episodes of Season 8. Nothing has been officially confirmed, and that's what makes this storyline so interesting. All American has always preferred slow, character-driven relationships over sudden twists. And if that's the direction the writers are taking, then episodes 1 through May 3rd have already planted the seeds for a major shift between Khalil, Amina, and KJ. Let's break it down. One thing Season 8 has done really well is show that these characters are entering a new stage of their lives. They're no longer just teenagers reacting to whatever happens around them. They're beginning to think about who they want to become. Amina especially seems more mature this season. She's becoming more confident in her own opinions, more willing to speak honestly, and more focused on building meaningful relationships instead of simply going along with what's comfortable. That's important because growth often changes relationships. Sometimes two people don't stop caring about each other. They simply start growing in different directions. And that's exactly what may be happening with Khalil. From Khalil's perspective, everything may still seem normal. He likely assumes that the bond he has with Amina is strong enough to survive whatever challenges come next. But relationships rarely change overnight. They change through small moments. A conversation missed. A misunderstanding left unresolved. Someone else showing up when you don't. Those little moments begin adding up. And before anyone realizes what's happening, the emotional distance starts to grow. That's what makes this theory so believable. One reason viewers are beginning to notice KJ and Amina is because their interactions feel natural. KJ doesn't seem to be forcing a connection. Instead, he simply happens to be there during important moments. Whether they're talking about everyday life or supporting each other through difficult situations, the friendship feels genuine. Those are usually the kinds of relationships All American develops over time. They're built on trust first. Everything else comes later. Comfort is one of the biggest signs that a relationship is growing. Whenever Amina spends time with KJ, she doesn't seem like she's trying to impress him. She isn't pretending to be someone else. She simply acts like herself. That's actually more important than obvious flirting. The strongest relationships in this series usually begin with two people who genuinely enjoy each other's company. That's the foundation the writers often build before introducing deeper emotional feelings. KJ is dealing with enormous pressure. Football expectations. Leadership. Trying to live up to what everyone expects from him. Despite all that, he still makes room to listen. He pays attention. He doesn't make every conversation about himself. That quality could naturally draw Amina closer to him. Not because she's looking for romance. Because everyone values being understood. If there's one potential weakness in Khalil's position, it's that he may believe Amina will always be there. Sometimes people don't realize how important someone is until another person begins filling that emotional space. That's not about jealousy. It's about presence. Being there consistently matters. And Season 8 seems to be emphasizing exactly that. One thing I don't want this theory to suggest is that Khalil has suddenly become the villain. Nothing we've seen suggests that. In fact, that's what makes this storyline interesting. Sometimes relationships don't fall apart because someone does something terrible. Sometimes life simply pulls people in different directions. That kind of storytelling feels much more realistic. And All American has often chosen realism over unnecessary drama. Throughout the series, many characters have searched for people who make them feel safe and understood. Amina may be entering that stage herself. She isn't necessarily looking for someone exciting. She's looking for someone dependable. Someone who listens. Someone she can trust. If KJ continues being that person, it's easy to understand why their friendship could grow stronger. Jordan has become much more observant this season. As he steps into more of a leadership role, he pays closer attention to the people around him. If the connection between KJ and Amina continues developing, Jordan might notice the growing chemistry before they do themselves. That wouldn't necessarily create conflict. It could simply lead to conversations that help both characters understand what they're feeling. One thing I appreciate is that the show isn't rushing this storyline. There are no huge romantic speeches, no dramatic declarations, no obvious love triangle. Instead, the writers seem content letting friendships develop naturally. That's usually a sign they're thinking long term. If romance eventually happens, it'll feel earned instead of forced. Here's where things get interesting. If Khalil begins noticing that Amina and KJ are becoming closer, he'll have a choice. He can ignore it. He can become jealous. Or he can finally start investing in the relationship the way he should have from the beginning. That choice may determine where this story ultimately goes. Sometimes relationships can be repaired. Sometimes the distance has already become too great. At its heart, I don't think this storyline is really about who Amina ends up with. It's about emotional connection. The people who consistently show up for each other often become the most important relationships in our lives. Whether those relationships stay friendships or become something deeper depends on how they continue growing. Season 8 seems much more interested in exploring that emotional journey than creating quick drama. So, here's my prediction. I don't think Khalil is going to lose Amina because KJ deliberately tries to take her away. That wouldn't fit the tone of All American. Instead, I think Amina and KJ will continue building a friendship based on trust, honesty, and mutual support. As that bond grows, Khalil may slowly realize that the connection he once took for granted isn't as strong as it used to be. If he waits too long to recognize what's changing, he could find himself watching someone else become the person Amina trusts the most. And that's what makes this storyline so compelling. It's not about one person stealing someone else's relationship. It's about how relationships naturally evolve when people grow, change, and discover who consistently stands beside them. If the writers continue following the careful, character-driven storytelling they've established so far, then season May 8 be building toward one of its most emotional relationship arcs, not through betrayal, but through quiet change. What do you think? Is Amina and KJ's connection simply a close friendship, or are the writers slowly laying the groundwork for something more? And if they are, is Khalil already too late to stop it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. This could end up being one of the most talked about storylines of the season. So here's my prediction. As season 8 continues, Amina and KJ's friendship will become one of the show's most important relationships. The writers will continue building trust between them through shared experiences rather than dramatic romantic moments. Over time, Amina may begin realizing that her concern for KJ has grown into something deeper. Whether KJ immediately recognizes those feelings is another question entirely. He's carrying so much pressure that he may not even notice what's developing until much later. And that's exactly why this storyline could work so well. Instead of rushing into romance, All American has the opportunity to tell a mature story about two young people discovering that the strongest relationships often begin with genuine friendship and mutual respect. If that's where the writers are heading, it would feel completely natural and completely earned. But what do you think? Do you believe Amina is quietly developing feelings for KJ, or are they simply becoming close friends as the season unfolds? Let me know your theory in the comments. One thing is certain. Their connection is becoming more important with every episode, and it may end up shaping KJ's journey more than football ever could.